I have some spooky book recommendations to talk about today that hopefully you can sneak in before the end of spooky season and fall. Most of these, well, about half of them I've read personally, and the other half I plan to read, but just to give you some ideas of maybe some spooky books you may want to read before the end of the year. Let's go ahead and get on into it, and I will tell you more about these books, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the ones that I've already read that I would like to recommend. First one being, and this has been on many of my lists so far this year, but Play Nice by Rachel Harrison. This is a new release. It's an incredible haunted house story about a woman in her 20s whose mother has passed away, and she inherits her mother's home, apparently haunted, and she goes back to her hometown and starts renovating this house in attempts to sell it. And some spooky, creepy things are happening in the house, and nobody believed her mother that the house was haunted. And now she is experiencing the paranormal effects of the house. Really good book, really great story, and I highly recommend. Now, the next book I have here, this one's a short read by T. Kingfisher, What Moves the Dead. This is a reimagining of The Fall of the House of Usher. Great body horror and mushrooms and creepy animals and some fun guy. So this is a really fun one to just kind of sneak in. It's really tiny, really quick and easy read. So highly recommend What Moves the Dead. All right, now the next book is for anybody who grew up loving Scooby-Doo. This is Meddling Kids. This is highly inspired by Scooby-Doo. The characters are not exact replicas of, the Scooby Gang. However, it is about a group of young teenagers who go through and solve mysteries, and one mystery that they had solved as teenagers comes back to haunt them as adults, and so it's about them getting back together as adults to finally solve this mystery. Thank you, Kita. No puppies. All right, now the next book is for anybody who loves witches, and that is Grady Hendrix' Witchcraft for Wayward Girls. Now, this is a really interesting Grady Hendrix book. Grady Hendrix is known for his kind of campy horror, and there is some campy horror to this. However, far less than some of his other stories. This book is about young unwed teenagers who are pregnant that go into these wayward homes to basically silently and secretively have their children, and then their children get put up for adoption, so they don't get to keep them, and it's where they hide the pregnant teens, basically, which used to be a real thing back in the day, not so much anymore. But it's about a group of the girls in this wayward house who are attempting to plan an escape in order to keep their babies and kind of put a stop to what's going on. They get involved in witchcraft, and it's about their sisterhood and the witchcraft of it all, and it's a pretty good read. Not one of my favorite Grady Hendrix books, but still a really good, well-written, thought-out story. All right, so the next book I want to talk about, this one I actually just finished last night and really, really enjoyed, and that is Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. This was a really interesting thriller ghost story of sorts. So you're following along this woman in her early 20s who just got clean off of heroin and is, living the sober life and doing really well and is trying to get back up on her feet. She ends up getting a job with this family to be a live-in nanny and to babysit their 5-year-old son. And she gets the job and is a live-in nanny with them, and things are going great. Things are perfect. But then the son starts drawing, is a big drawer, loves art, and at first his pictures were like any other kid's drawings, and then they progressively get more disturbing as the book goes along. And it's about her journey, being a live-in nanny, going through this and like trying to figure out what's going on and why this kid is like drawing these really creepy pictures. And I could not put this book down. It was so good. It was really entertaining. They do have images in the book of like the little kids' drawings, which adds like another layer of like spookiness to it. So that's not even a creepy drawing. There's like some actually creepy ones in here, but I don't want to spoil the art in the book. But yeah, really good solid spooky ghost story. So those are all the books out of this list that I have read. Now getting into the latter half of the recommendations, or just books that I have to talk about, are not books that I've read yet, but I plan to read and I'm excited to read. So the first one, and this is actually next on my list to read, like I'm going to start it tonight I think, is The September House, which is a haunted house story. I love haunted house stories. That's like, I feel like a good theme going in some of these books is like haunted houses and whatnot. This is a haunted house story about a young couple who buys their first home, and it's haunted, and it progressively gets like even more haunted in the months of September. Things go haywire, and her husband are living here, and it sounds like, again, I have not read this, but the wife ends up learning to live with the like haunted home, the ghosts, the spirits, whatever is inside this house. She's able to live with it. Her husband is not. Her husband leaves the house, and the husband is like never to be seen again. And so it's about her trying to figure out the mystery of where her husband is and try to find him, and there's like secrets to the house and all of that good stuff. So September House. I've heard great things about this book as well, so I'm excited to get started on reading this one. Again, love haunted houses, and I think this is going to be a really good one. Now, the next one is T. King Fisher's House with Good Bones. This is a Southern Gothic about two siblings who go back home to their mother's house, and their mother is acting really strange and not like herself, and she's paranoid, and there's just something is off. Something is really off with their mother. So family secrets and possibly another haunted house, maybe. So I'm excited to get into this one. I feel like this one's going to be a really fun one to read. Now, the next one is actually a book I just recently got in a blind date with a book, and I'm really excited to read this one. I've never heard of the book before, and it is called Love, Mom. It has like some pretty sprayed edges. Yes. And this one is about a woman who is an author, a famous author, and she ends up dying, and her daughter is left to kind of, mourn and deal with the aftermath of that. And because her mom was such a prolific writer and was loved by many, she keeps getting these weird letters about, like, do you really know who your mother is? Do you want to know a secret? Things like that. Really just kind of like eerie and cynical messages. So she starts up her own investigation to kind of figure out what happened to her mother and what is going on with these like family secrets and her mother's secrets, what her mother was like hiding from her, things that she just has no clue her mother was capable of. So I'm excited to get into this. Seems like the perfect thriller. All right, just a couple more left. This next one is by Rachel Harrison as well, The Return. This is one of Rachel's like first books. This one is about the return of a friend who was missing for like 2 years, and when she comes back, she's emaciated, she has strange like appetites, and does not look like herself, act like herself whatsoever. And it's clear something happened to her while she was missing for the 2 years that her friends did not see her, and they're trying to figure out like what happened. And I don't know, my thoughts on this is that their friend turned into something. I'm not sure, like maybe a zombie or like a vampire, or I don't think a vampire, maybe a zombie or like a ghost or something. I have no clue, but I'm excited to read this. It's intriguing, and I want to know what happened to this missing girl that came back and is all crazed looking. So excited to read this one. And then last but not least, is Alice. Now, this is a reimagining of Alice in Wonderland. I feel like pretty obvious by the title and imagery. So this is about Alice, who is in a mental hospital, and when she wakes up, she doesn't quite remember what happened, but she does remember that there was a tea party. She remembers certain things, like the rabbit she followed, and she has to kind of piece together what happened, how did I end up here, what happened. And so it's about her journey of going back to Wonderland to speak to the rabbit and figure out what happened and try to regain her memories back of what happened. From the sounds of it, is going to be very dark and disturbing and creepy, right up my alley. I'm excited to get into this. This seems like the perfect reimagining of Alice in Wonderland for horror fans, and I'm really hoping, I have high expectations of this book, so I really hope it does not disappoint. But yeah, I'm excited. So those are the 10 book recommendations I have for getting some spooky reads in before the end of fall, before the end of October. I want to know if you have read any of these books, or what horror books are you going to be reading this fall. And yeah, thank you so much for hanging out with me and talking about books. And if you like this type of content, and then feel free to subscribe. I'd love to have you and chat with you in the comments. And yeah, have a good rest of your day. Bye!